so excited to share with you guys today a recipe for my mom's classic stuffed peppers. It's funny how the tables have turned. This recipe was the only recipe I recall from my childhood being forced to eat. My mom never made gross food or things that were just so far out there that us kids wouldn't like. However, one night she made me eat my stuffed peppers, like the actual green pepper part of the pepper. I thought it was so disgusting, and yet now all these years later, it's my most favorite food on the planet, and I request my mom to make it for me. However, she hasn't made it in probably 15 years for me. So over the years, I've asked her for the recipe, but unfortunately, she recalls it differently every single time. And so if you guys search back on the blog, you'll see some different recipes for stuffed peppers throughout the years that I've started posting since 2011. But this time, finally, we have the recipe, and it tastes exactly how I remember it tasting when my taste buds changed and I really love stuffed peppers. So for today's recipe, I'm so excited to share with you guys. Let me know if you guys like this video style also, because I'd love to do more videos like this. Let's go ahead and get started. So for this recipe today, I made it for 4 people. So basically what I used were 4 green bell peppers, 1 pound of ground beef. I like to use 90% lean, a 1/4 cup of chili powder, 1 teaspoon crushed red pepper flakes, 1 can stewed tomatoes, 1 can of tomato sauce, 1 cup of white rice, about 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, and about 4 tablespoons of bacon bits. To get started, I brown 1 pound of ground beef in a skillet, and then once it's brown, I add the chili powder and the crushed red pepper flakes and give it a good stir. Next, I add a whole can of stewed tomatoes, and my mom said to take kitchen scissors and cut these stewed tomatoes up into small pieces. She swears that the flavor and the taste of these tomatoes is different than diced tomatoes, and I do have to agree with her. So then next, you're going to add a 1/2 can of tomato sauce and give it a stir. Save the remaining half of this tomato sauce for later in the recipe. While all of this is cooking, it works really well to go ahead and start getting your rice cooking. So I actually cooked 2 cups of uncooked rice here, and I only used about 1 cup of it. I wasn't really sure how much rice I would need, but after making the recipe, I think 1 cup is perfectly fine. Once the rice is cooked, you're going to add that 1 cup of cooked rice to your meat mixture and give it a stir. Next up, it's time to parboil your peppers. So the reason why you parboil peppers is to make them a little soft and tender, because otherwise the peppers are too hard and crunchy, and they won't cook down enough for the short baking time that these peppers have. So the way to parboil peppers is to cut off the stems off the top, and then you scoop out all of the insides, and then you bring a large stock pot of water to boil. And here you can see I have a small pot. I was a little lazy. I didn't want to grab my large stock pot. And then you put the peppers in the boiling water for about 2 minutes. Take them out with tongs and drain out all that excess water. What you can do is put them top side down and let them drain on a plate. Next up, you need to grab about a 9x9 baking dish. This worked really well for 4 green peppers. And then you're going to pour about 1/4 of the remaining can of tomato sauce on the bottom of the baking dish. And then take a spoon and spread it out evenly so the bottom of this baking dish is coated with the tomato sauce. Next up, you want to grate about 1 cup of cheddar cheese. So I just used a brick of cheddar cheese, mild, and I grated it up. For the original recipe, my mom always used Velveeta cheese. She would buy the bricks or the blocks of Velveeta cheese and slice it into little cubes, and then she would mix it into the meat mixture. But here you can see I'm just using shredded cheese. Totally fine. You can use whatever cheese you prefer. Next, you want to place the parboiled green peppers into this baking dish, and you want to fill each pepper really full with the meat mixture. I just used a spoon and spooned in the mixture into each pepper. Then if you have any extra, you may not, but if you do, what you want to do is spoon that meat mixture around the base of your peppers. Next up, top each pepper very generously with cheese. And then for the secret ingredient that my mom always used, and I would not skip this, this makes the pepper taste amazing and to the next level. We always use these bacon pieces. We just call them bacon bits. And my mom would sprinkle a generous amount of these on top of each pepper, probably about a tablespoon or so on each pepper, and it just really elevates the flavor. Next, you want to take that remaining quarter can of your tomato sauce and drizzle it all over the top of your peppers. This you don't want to skip out on because something with this tomato sauce seals all those amazing good flavors into the pepper, and you really don't want to miss it. Next, put this baking dish into the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Really just keep checking it and making sure that your cheese is gooey and melty, and that's when you know it's done. Now, the way to tell if your peppers are cooked to perfection is by seeing if your pepper skin is wrinkly. So in this photo here, you can see that the green peppers are very wrinkled and crinkled. This is perfection. The pepper is still tender, but it's still firm enough that you need a fork and knife to cut it, and it just makes it so much more palatable when you're eating that meat mixture. So here you can see it works really well to cut with a knife and just eat this delicious recipe. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. For more delicious recipes, head on over to the blog at Gathered in the Kitchen, as well as the printable recipe card for these stuffed peppers. Thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe.